Good morning. My name is Alain Ikomba. I'm recording this video as the requirement of skills-based assessment, part 1, as it required that I have to describe each of the key components inside the computers, and I have to clearly identify each of the interfaces, the bus type and its purpose, and I have to introduce myself and to specify where I locate myself right now, and I have to make sure that my face is seen during this recording, and I have to select one of the languages listed for this to submit this verbal explanation. Let me quickly go through the computer. I'm going to be using this computer to complete my task. All right. First of all, as you can see, and I'm going to be using my cell phone. You see, my smart cell phone to record as you have advised. So I'm sure that I hope that the quality is gonna help us to see clearly what I'm gonna be doing. First of all, let me explain about the computers. I mean, case, right? The casing. This is called full-size tower. This is vertical oriented. This is one case. It provides rooms for expansion. You see, accommodation and additional components such as disk drive, such as adapter card, and more. And quickly, I'm going to explain about power supply. This is a power supply. As we know, the power supply is to convert from AC to DC because our computer need DC power, right? And in power supply, we do have different cables here that I'm going to be explaining, all right? We do have the different cables here that I'm going to be explaining. So in order for power supply to work, remember, we need the input power, what you're calling the sources, right? Now, it depends. Now, in the most of power supply, at the back of power supply, right? This one is a switch to power on and power off the power supply. And we do have, in the most of power supply, comes with the small voltage selector switches that is going to allow you to select the specific voltages according to your electrical supplier, right? And the most of American countries and European countries, they are using 110 voltages, and the most of African countries, right, we are using 220 voltage. And yes, I remember that I'm introducing myself as I was saying that my name. I'm very sorry. My name is Alain Ikomba, and right now I'm in South Africa. It's where now I'm doing this. I'm completing this task. Right, I'm residing in South Africa, and I'm going to be using English as a preferred languages. You see, to submit this explanation. Although I'm French-speaking person, but I'm going to be using English to make everything easier so that you can understand. Right? I was explaining about power supply. Right, as I said, that if like this power supply does not have that a small switch selector, all right? But I'm going to advise, in order for you to connect this power supply, such kind of power supply, to your AC outlet, all right? You have to make sure that this power supply is matching with your power supply, I mean your AC outlet supplier, right? How are you going to know? You might have the, what do you call it, the user manual of your computer, or as you see, I don't know if you can see this here. It's saying that is written is here. The AC input is 230 volt. Means that you can connect this such a power supply to no more than 230. Otherwise, the power supply is going to be burned. But if you connect it to the power supply range of 110 or 115, this power supply won't work and it won't blow. But if you connect to more than 230, as mentioned here, obvious, your power supply is going to be burned. That is for your input, right? Power supply. Now the output, which is a DC, we do have the different connectors here and the different cables and colors, wire colors that I'm going to be explaining. First of all, remember on the course that they've explained, we do have the different form factors power supply. We do have what we are calling 80x power supply. We do have 80 and 80x, right? And the 80 are the most of old power supplies that you may not find them in the market. But the most of today's power supply are 80x, which is stand for extended power supply, right? This is the update of version of 80, but it's still considered to be obsolete, as you might not find a 80 power supply in the market, right? So you must also find the 80x 12 volt connectors. I'm going to explain about 80x 12 connectors. That kind of connectors is the dedicated one, dedicated connectors to the microprocessor that is providing 12 volt for the microprocessor. That is the most common power supply on the market. You see, as I'm explaining, that it includes the second motherboard connector to provide the dedicated power to the CPU. Let me go quickly to explain the different connectors that we do have here. Let me start by this 20 pin. It depends, yes. The most of 80 power supplies comes with 20. See, we do have 20. We do have 2 rows here. In each of the row, we do have 10 pins to make it 20. And this is the extra 80x 12 volt pin, right? If you put it like this, and you're going to be having now 12 pin, 2 rows. You see, 12 this side, 12 that side, to make it 24 volt for the 80x 12 volt, right? And in each of the pins here, we do have the different voltages that computer needs. Among them, we do have 12 volt, we do have 5 volt, we do have 3.3 volt that is computer needs, all right? So, and we do have we do have a 3.3, we do have 5 volt, and we do have a 12 volt, right? And then 3.3 volt and 5 volt are used for the digital circuit. I'm going to explain to you, show you. You see, I do have hard drives here. That is the digital circuit that needs 5 volt, and some of them, this one needs 5 volt, and then the microprocessor, so some of microprocessor needs 3.3 volts, right? And we do have 12 volt, remember. We do have the plate inside this is here, and we do have the motor that is going to be spinning as the computer is going to be reading the data information with the hard drive, so that the motor is going to be needs that 12 volt, right? That we're going to be connecting 12 volt, and then the 5 volts for this digital circuit. So we do have the different connectors now in order for us to connect to the motherboard and to the devices, all right? Now, let's start by connecting this 24 pin to the motherboard. Yes, you see, if you can see here, we do have the 24 connectors here. You see that we're going to connect this. We connect this here. Yeah, that's it. And remember, we do have the 80x 12 volt, right? Here it is. That is the dedicated is for the microprocessor. Here's the dedicated one that you're going to connect this here. It's going to be supplying the 12 volt. If you don't connect these connectors, your processor won't work. So you need to connect this 80x 12 volt in order for your for your motherboard, your processor to work. That was about this motherboard connectors. Besides that, we do have the drive connectors, right? I'm going to explaining for this one. It's called the SATA key connectors. This one is going to be connecting the opticals. You see, I do have a SATA optical device, and I do have the hard drive. This is SATA. You see, this is SATA port, as you can see, and we're going to be connecting this here. This is for the power, and this is for the data. This is the data cable, this is power cable, and this is the SATA device, right? SATA drive, hard drive. And beside this SATA, we do have what you are calling the Molex. Here's the Molex connectors, right? You see, coming to the cables, power cable is the same. This one, the yellow is for 12 volts, red is for 5 volts, you see, and the black is, the negative is one is the same as here. This is the Molex connectors. Is also to connect the hard drive or the optical drive. You see, we're gonna connect this here. We're gonna connect it here. You see, here's the Molex power connectors. We're gonna connect this here. You see, connect this here. Yeah, it's connected to the hard drive, you see, and this is called IDE hard drive. We're going to explain about that, right? Beside that, we do have the bag. Yeah, you see, here's the bag connectors. You see, in the most of cases, bag connect the floppy drive and bag. There are some of the component also might have this kind of connectors, may need to be connected to this kind of connectors. So this one, the small one, it's called bag connector. All right. Remember we say about SATA, Molex, and bag connector. That was about power supply. And let me quickly explain about the motherboard. You see, that is motherboard, right? The motherboard is the main board, you see, is the backbone, as said the note. You see, is the backbone of the computer. It's a printed circuit, you see. We do have the small lines, is the printed circuit. They are small circuit, all those line paths, it's where the